Tatsuki Fujimoto is best known for his shonen manga Chainsaw Man. Chainsaw Man is weird, there's no other way to put it. It pushes the boundary of shonen in odd ways that has held the world of manga readers in a very firm grasp since it burst onto the scene. But today we're not here to talk about Chainsaw Man. We're here to talk about Sayonara Eri. This is one of Tatsuki Fujimoto's one-shots. A one-shot is a manga short story. It's all compiled in a little thing. So if you don't know what that is, you know what it is now. I'm not going to drag on any longer with that. So this video is a plot summary and analysis, and I don't mean like just plot summary, I do mean analysis of Sayonara Eri, so bear that in mind. Huge spoilers ahead. I'm giving you now to run. If you don't want to be spoiled for this work, click off the video. It's a really good manga. You should go read it yourself if you haven't already. But that's enough fucking lollygagging. I've given you a chance to escape, so you're in the spoiler zone now. Oh, you silly little guy. You're gonna get fucking spoiled. So we start at a birthday party. The main character, Yuta, is turning 12. And he's just gotten his first smartphone. Whoa, wow, man, he's gonna be exposed to the horrors of the internet, I hear you thinking. But don't worry. That's not why he got the smartphone. He got the smartphone because his mom wants him to record every possible moment that he can. His mother is sick with an unspecified illness that's heavily implied to be cancer, and she could die. So, if she dies, she wants you to have that memory of her, or so she says. Now, the kid has a way of recording things that are totally irrelevant to his mom, but that's okay because he records a lot, he's 12, he's doing his best. And this story goes on in this way, documenting a seemingly calm, if not bit melancholic family life. Things do get worse though, and Yuta becomes almost obsessive in his recording. He has monstrous amounts of footage, almost reflecting the grim duty he has taken up. Things, of course, then come to a cruel and final head, the way that they often do. Yuta is asked to film his own mother's death. Over 100 hours of footage, and this final request is the breaking point. Yuta doesn't record the death. He runs away. He cannot be there. So he turns his back, and as he runs, the hospital explodes. So yeah, these events have taken place in a movie. Understandably, no one fucking liked the movie, because Yuta's mom did die, and she did ask him to record his death, and he did run. So no one understands why a movie based on that turns into the hospital exploding, but that's okay. Yuta has a reasonable response to the failure of a movie that he has, which is that he films an self-unaliving note. I did the thing, YouTube, you've got to pay me now. But when he goes to commit to, let's say, his final bit, a girl on top of the hospital that he ran to stops him. She says that if Yuta is going to do that, he should do it at another hospital, where the doctors are dicks, and also hand over the money in his wallet. You know, that would really take the wind out of my sails if I'm like, oh my god, I'm hated, I'm reviled as a creator, I've gotta end it all, and someone's like, your money. Give me your fucking money. But anyway, this girl recognizes who Yuta is after some brief conversation, and instead of letting him go to a different hospital to go commit a final bit, she's instead like, nope, you're coming with me, we're gonna watch movies, fucker. And then they wind up watching movies for at least 9 hours. The girl, whose name is Eri, liked his movie, and she wants him to make another. But the thing is that she thinks you can't make a good movie unless you watch a shit ton of movies. And I don't know how this works in the realm of movie making. I'm sure it's very similar, but in the realm of writing, that is very valid advice. Where if you're ever like, no, guys, I don't know how to write a book, the writing community will just start throwing novels at your head and be like, read, motherfucker, read! So, maybe Yuta will become a better filmmaker from this, I don't know. But luckily, thanks to, not being 13 and alone for too long, Yuta changes his mind about self-remove from Minecraft server, and he agrees. He'll watch a shit ton of movies with Eri, and they'll get all super good at it, and Yuta's gonna write the best movie ever. So, eventually, him and Eri discuss what makes a good film, and then eventually Yuta starts trying to write his next film, but Eri keeps telling him, no, this is cringe. I want better. You can make a better movie. And Yuda's like, okay, yeah, I guess I can. And just keeps coming up with something. He goes pretty far for this, even talking to his, like, workaholic, kind of estranged father to discuss his sense of self. And then Yuda comes up with the film, which is the exact story he's living right now. He made the movie about his mom. His mom died. He publishes a movie about his mom. Everyone hates it. He's like, wow, I'm gonna self-remove from Minecraft server. And then he meets this weird chick who kidnaps him. But now Eri is a vampire who is also chronically ill instead of just some random kid. Now, the lines here between film and reality blur, as the next line is Yuda's father stating that he doesn't want Yuda to make more films. And this is, however, acting, as Yuda's dad is in on the movie. In the next scene, Yuda and Eri are still filming the movie. Bear in mind, I say next scene, but it's really a manga, so like in the next drawn picture, Yuda and Eri are still filming the movie, but Eri collapses and needs to be hospitalized. Yuda comes to see her as soon as she wakes up, telling her that he's excited for her to get better, and Eri tells him that the sickness she has is not the kind you get better from. Eri then makes a cruel request, stutter coming out, that Yuda record her final moments. Yuda understandably is like, hey, what the fuck, why would you ask that of me? And then runs away, goes and spends some time alone. And when he gets home, Yuda's dad reveals that he recorded his wife's final moments for Yuda. And this is where it's revealed that Yuda's mom was an asshole, where her last words were, that boy was useless to the end. See, Yuda's mom was a TV producer, and she had hoped that in her fight with the mystery illness that is strongly alluded to be cancer, that she would be able to make a documentary about her fight with it. And she was fucking mean in how she made Yuda record this. This is why Yuda has a lot of the things going on that he does. Yuda's dad apologizes for this because he knew it was happening, but he turned a blind eye and just buried his nose in work. And then he praises Yuda on his film, because in his film, his first one where the hospital explodes, Yuda's mom was kind and a good mother, and the only parts of her you saw were the good one. Yuda's dad then tells him that Eri probably asked all of this of him because she wants Yuda to choose how she'll be remembered. Yuda then goes back to the hospital, talks with Eri, explaining that he agrees to record her last moments. Yuda and Eri then go and do a ton of things. They go on cute little adventures. They're teenage friends. How sweet for them. But unfortunately, Eri doesn't get better. In no time at all, Eri doesn't get better, she gets worse. Yuda and Eri share a final moment together where Eri asks about the movie and laments that she'll never be able to see it. She and Yuda share a last kiss because they're dating now, ? And he asks one last time what kind of movie Eri wanted him to make. Eri says she wants it to be the kind of movie that will make everyone cry. And then she's gone. We then cut to when the film is screened at what I'm going to go ahead, it's called the School Festival in Japan. I'm going to assume that that is the Japanese version of talent shows, which I never really saw many talent shows, except for in high school, but I would feel so absolutely washed if I was gonna like play guitar or something and this kid has like a 30-minute feature film that makes everyone burst into tears. You're not taking that one home, buddy. Yuda reveals that even though the film was well received, things didn't go well for him after he released the film. He became obsessed with perfecting his movie, looking for answers in the footage, editing it, recutting it, making new additions over and over and over again. Yuda doesn't continue going to school. He gets a job, and sure, eventually he gets a family, and he's not unhappy with them at all. But he's still trying to bring perfection to his work. He's still chasing this intangible concept. But then the worst happens and he loses his entire family, his wife, his child, his dad, in a car accident. And it's because of this that he knows deep down in his soul that He doesn't have what it takes to process death once more. He's only ever done that through film. And he resigns himself to die in a place with importance to him. He goes to the abandoned building that him and Eri watched all those movies in all those years ago and unlocks the door to the place that he spent a bulk of his teenage years. But when he opens the door, he finds Eri inside watching the film. She reveals that she really was a vampire, like Yuta made up in his plot. The problem is, though, is that the brain can only remember 200 years of shit, so every 200 years she has to die and forget everything. But she has this film to remember who she was this time. Yuta and Eri agree that this is honestly quite beautiful, that she gets to experience it all over again, and that she gets to witness how kind and nice she was. And Eri says that if Yuta won't watch the movie, he should see himself out. Yuta agrees, and he says goodbye, Eri. Whoa, I did the thing! And says to the audience that this is the last time he and Eri would ever meet. But here's the thing. We're still watching a movie. Yuta runs from the abandoned building, and it blows up. Had to go get my roommate's dog because she was crying at my door. Say hello, dog. Come here. Get in the camera frame. Get in the camera frame. Oh, hi. Anyway, cool. We made it through the main story. Congratulations, you have an attention span. Hopefully I have an ability to interestingly edit. Now, on the surface, this is a story about a movie that features other movies written into a manga, which is a bit of a trip, but that's alright. What the movie itself, like the initial movie, not the bomb explosion one, the entire thing, is what interests me. Sayonara Eri is absurd. There's no other way to put it. This absurd lens takes the view that it has of grieving and loss and creating, and makes it a little bit easier to process, because if a story just pulled up and was like, his mom died, you'd probably be like, oh, wow, that's not cool. But it leads you into it, you know, it guides you there. You come to the conclusion that his mom died yourself. I digress, though. This buildup of Yuta's mom, who's, seen in the first movie as a kind woman with a little bastard of a son, is hugely important because Yuta's mother and her cruelty is a fundamental piece of who Yuta is and why he is that way. So, in the film, it's massively important that he chooses to only immortalize the nicest parts of her, the best parts of her, and that when things come to an end, he lets everything blow up and he runs away from it. That's the best you could expect a kid to do. It takes this view of Yuta as this ingrateful little shit because, goddamn, dude, why would you make a movie about your mom dying and then blow her up at the end to a kid trying to process his grief, even in spite of the fact that his loved ones were deeply imperfect and, in fact, not kind to him in the slightest? Eri is another example of this. See, in the manga, after the second movie is screened, Yuta's classmate comes up and asks basically why Eri is portrayed this way. See, Eri was a bit of a bitch, actually, and she didn't look that way. She had glasses and a retainer, and she had a temper. And Yuta still chooses to remember only the good parts of her and immortalize them in the film. And sure, this time he stays till the end, redeeming himself in some way. But Eri is to Yuta the only one who praises him, the one who spends time with him, and goes on adventures with him. And that's what we see in his portrayal of her. Being a muse is some kind of burning eternity, I think. As someone who creates things myself, hi, I'm the creator man, if I choose someone to be the influence of my work, my own expression of the self, it's out of love, and I think Yuta filming both his mom and Eri the way that he did is an act of love. They'll be remembered for as long as the work they inspired is, and they'll be remembered in all of the people who were influenced by the art that Yuta made. And in this way, Sayonara Eri has this narrative of love and loss, and love in spite of loss, and sure, the end of the movie is an explosion. And it's easy to interpret this as a disrespectful thing. It makes no sense. But you know what else makes no sense? Death. Death is this insanely wackadoodle concept that the brain can never fully accept or understand or process. We can do it in pieces and bits, but it's this looming sword that's forever dangling just above our ballsack, titties, or head, or whatever is scariest to you. Death is the destroyer of all physical markers of the life you lived, and depending on what you believe, it is the destroyer of you entirely. In this way, does it not make sense to portray death as the destruction of a physical place? In a way, that's exactly what it is. Ah, but what about the end? I hear the imaginary straw man in the comments that I just made up ask. Easy. At the end, Yuta meets a still alive Eri, right? Oh boy, how's she still alive? Eri is exactly who Yuta portrayed her as, even down to being a vampire like she was in the film. Yuta speaks on how he was never able to move on from that movie, how he fell into this obsession, re-editing, recutting. The end of this movie, then, is about letting that obsession die. He sees Eri exactly as he portrayed her, down to the finest details, and he chooses instead to sitting down, watching the movie, absorbing himself in it more, to walk away and to let it go. And the building explodes at the end because, as Yuta says, it needs a touch of the fantastical. Wow. Now that I've read way too far into death, let's also talk about the second meta-narrative that I saw within this story. What it means to be a young creator. Yuta puts his heart and soul into the first movie, and it's honestly not that good. And after this movie is received as bad, because that's kind of what it was, sorry man, he goes to upload a unaliving himself video. Wow. Shout out to YouTube's keyword filtration system for forever making me sound profoundly and deeply unserious. Thank you so much. Anyway, he goes to self-yeet yote, alright? That's a huge thing to do. Now, would every young creator respond this way to their art being laughed at? No. When I was 16, I was not over here, pulling a, shout out to YouTube's auto-filtration system for forever making me sound profoundly unserious. I was not over here pulling out a bang-bang person deleter and being like, oh, my video didn't get 100 views, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. But a lot of people are very strongly negatively affected by their art not being received well. People are gonna tell you to stop, too. People who are close to you, as indicated by the fake dad scene where Yuta's dad acts out this kind of sadness that his son is still pursuing it, and the real conversation Eri has with Yuta and his dad right after. The second story being told here, I think, is that you have to be willing to throw your heart to the wind and pray it doesn't land amongst the wolves if you want to create. And in the end, Yuta's okay with this. This second meta-narrative is also portrayed well through Yuta's dad. Yuta's dad is, in my opinion, the sort of concept and character exploration of the creative left unfulfilled. And I don't mean this as an insult at the guy. I'm not over here like, put him on bum watch, he's a fraud. But he wanted to be an actor. He was young and he had dreams, but he wasn't instantly successful at it and he wasn't able to stick it out. So at the end of everything, he gives up on his dream and he goes and he gets a regular 9-to-5 salary job, and that is the life he lives forever, for the rest of his life. And his wife works in his dream industry. Just thinking about it, that has to feel fucking horrible, and instead of being mean and cruel and bitter about this, he supports Yuta fully in his creative endeavors. Even if his movies are a little odd, he still thinks that they're good. He still praises his son. In spite of dreams left unfulfilled, Yuta's dad is a decent guy. It also helps all of this storytelling and all of this cool stuff that the manga has a great art style, as if someone drew film reel onto a page. And of course, there's Fujimoto's traditional weirdness, because I didn't want to touch on the main character's weird obsession with filming shit videos, but he's got it. What else would you expect from a Fujimoto work? I mean, come on, of course it would be there. So that's where we are. Also, hey, Hi, hello. My head hurts, my voice is gone. I normally don't sound like this, but you made it to the end of the video, and thank you so much for that. I'm trying this new style of content called bedroom YouTubing, which is a bunch of YouTubers just have a somewhat interesting bedroom, and they talk at a camera. And this is very hard when you have a script, but I'm doing my damnedest. Fun fact, there's AI tools that have been around since like 2018 at least, that make it look like you're always looking directly at the camera, even if you aren't. But I don't use AI, and I don't believe in that. So there probably were some times I was just giving the 1,000-yard stare off in the distance. But that's okay. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for being here. If you liked the video, go ahead, like the video, comment, subscribe, all of that shit every YouTuber ever tells you to do. And if you disliked the video, don't do that. Go ahead, dislike, comment, maybe even give me a hate subscribe. You know, you'd really love to keep watching my videos. Oh yeah, you would. Do it, push that button. Yeah, that's good shit right there, isn't it? Anyways, I normally don't sound like this. Normally my head doesn't hurt. So, I'm gonna go drink some echinacea tea before my gym sesh tonight. Remember to mask up and be safe if you are sick, and probably don't work out because that's not good for you when you're ill. And huge thanks to all the Patreons as always. If you'd like to join the Patreon, go ahead and do it. The link is down in the description below. I'm not going to drag this out any longer because it's like 2.5 minutes of outro recording. Wow! So, thanks again so much for watching. Have a great time, and until next time, memento mori.